Good morning, children. Let's continue the story The Enemy from Vistas. We read Dr. Sadao Hockey's house was on the seashore. Japan and America were at war. And at this time, Dr. Sadao Hockey found in front of his house a man from US Navy who was badly torn. Dr. Sadao decided to operate him and then hand him over as a prisoner of war. Now let's see, we have to begin today from page number 35. His enemy, an American, and called him his friend. Then quickly, with the cleanest and most precise of incisions, the bullet was out. The man quivered, but he was still unconscious. So he moved, but still unconscious. Nevertheless, he muttered a few English words. Guts, he muttered, choking. They got my guts. Here, life. It suggests that the people have taken his life. This American is speaking. Sadao, Hannah cried sharply. Shh, Sadao said. The man sank again into silence so profound that Sadao took up his wrist, hating the touch of it. Yes, there was still a pulse so faint, so feeble, but enough, if he wanted the man to live, to give hope. So it was in Sadao's hands. If he wanted, he could continue the operation and let the American live. But certainly, I do not want this man to live, he thought. No more anesthetic, he told Hannah. Now see the dilemma, children. On one side, he is asking his wife not to give anesthesia to the American, and on the other side, he thinks that he doesn't want that man to live. If he doesn't want the man to live, why he is asking his wife not to give any more anesthetic? Because more anesthesia can give rise to the death of the patient, the enemy, the American. He turned as swiftly as though he had never paused, and from his medicines he chose a small vial, and from it filled a hypodermic and thrust it into the patient's left arm. Then putting down the needle, he took the man's wrist again. The pulse under his fingers fluttered once or twice and then grew stronger. This man will live in spite of all, he said to Hannah, and sighed. The young man woke, so weak, his blue eyes so terrified, when he perceived where he was, that Hannah felt compelled to apologize. She herself served him, for none of the servants would enter the room. This we are talking of the American when he came back to his consciousness. So when he became conscious of his surroundings and where he was, Hannah told the whereabouts, and she told that she had to clean the wounded American, that is him, because there was nobody else ready to do so. When she came in the first time, she saw him summon his small strength to be prepared for some fearful thing, as if he wanted to get up from the bed. Don't be afraid, she begged him softly. How come you speak English? He gasped. I was a long time in America, she replied. She saw that he wanted to reply to that, but he could not, and so she knelt and fed him gently from the porcelain spoon. He ate unwillingly, but still he ate because he wanted to live. Now you will soon be strong, she said, not liking him, and yet moved to comfort him. He did not answer. When Sadao came in the third day after the operation, he found the young man sitting up, his face bloodless with the effort. Lie down, Sadao cried. Do you want to die? He forced the man down gently and strongly and examined the wound. You may kill yourself if you do this sort of thing, he scolded. On one side, Sadao wants him to die. On the other side, he wants him to live. What are you going to do with me? The boy muttered. He looked just now barely 17. Are you going to hand me over? For a moment, Sadao did not answer. He finished his examination and then pulled the silk quilt over the man. I do not know myself. What shall I do with you? He said. I ought, of course, to give you to the police. You are a prisoner of war. No, do not tell me anything. He put up his hand as he saw the young man was about to speak. Do not even tell me your name unless I ask it. They looked at each other for a moment, and then the young man closed his eyes and turned his face to the wall. Okay, he whispered, his mouth a bitter line. Outside the door, Hannah was waiting for Sadao. He saw at once that she was in trouble. Sadao, Yemi tells me the servants feel they cannot stay if we hide this man here anymore, she said. She tells me that they are saying that you and I were so long in America that we have forgotten to think of our own country first. They think we like Americans. So now all the servants in the house, they are against them, and they feel as the couple had stayed for a long time in America, therefore they think like Americans, and because of that they have brought a prisoner of war in their house. And not only this, Sadao has given a treatment also to him. It is not true, Sadao said harshly. Americans are our enemies, but I have been trained not to let a man die if I can help it. Underline this, children. This is the reason of his helping out the enemy, the American. The servants cannot understand that, she said anxiously. No, he agreed. Neither seemed able to say more, and somehow the household dragged on. The servants grew more watchful. Their courtesy was as careful as ever, but their eyes were cold upon the pair to whom they were hired. Children, it seems that they were staying there because for years they were there working and giving their services to the family. But they did not like the attitude of Sadao and his wife helping out the American, and therefore they changed their attitude towards them. It is clear that our master ought to do, the old gardener said one morning. He had worked with flowers all his life and had been a specialist too in moss. For Sadao's father, he had made one of the finest moss gardens in Japan, sweeping the bright green carpet constantly so that not a leaf or a pine needle marred the velvet of its surface. My old master's son knows very well that he ought to do, he now said, pinching a bud from a bush as he spoke. When the man was so near death, why did he not let him bleed? So servants are talking among themselves that Sadao should have not helped out an American and not brought him in their house. These people, they were working, the servants, the gardener, and the other servant, they were working for years in Sadao's house, and therefore they are very upset at this point. Sadao's gardener was his father's gardener as well. So naturally he was in age and he did not like what Sadao was doing. That young master is so proud of his skill to save life that he saves any life, the cook said contemptuously. So any life suggests American's life. So as he is proud, Sadao is proud there, and he wants to show to people that he can save any life. So because of that, he has saved American's life. She split a fowl's neck skillfully and held the fluttering bird and let its blood flow into the roots of wisteria vine. Blood is the best fertilizer, and the old gardener would not let her waste a drop of it. So they were sitting in the garden, and she was cutting the bird, and allowing the blood to go into the roots of the plant. It is the children of whom we must think, Yumi said sadly. What will be their fate if their father is condemned as a traitor? They did not try to hide what they said from the ears of Hannah as she stood arranging the day's flowers in the veranda nearby, and she knew they spoke on purpose that she might hear. That they are right, she knew too, in most of her being. But there was another part of her which she herself could not understand. What was that another part? She was helping out her husband in saving the enemy. Why? That she herself did not know. It was not sentimental liking of the prisoner. She did not like the prisoner. She had come to think of him as a prisoner. She had not liked him even yesterday when he had said in his impulsive way, "Anyway, let me tell you that my name is Tom." She had only bowed her little distant bow. She saw hurt in his eyes, but she did not wish to assuage it. Assuage is remove, change. Indeed, he was great trouble in this house. So she was very upset that because of the American, there was now a tension, an environment of trouble in their house. And she did not want to know name like her husband, as Sadao also said to the American that he did not want to know name of the enemy. But still the enemy told his name was Tom. So till here we are going to do children today, and we'll continue the rest from tomorrow.